By the time that you guys are watching this video, Echoes of Wisdom must have already released, but I am recording this prior to the release of Echoes of Wisdom, and today I wanted to go ahead and talk to you guys about the developer diaries that Nintendo has been posting about The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, and just talking about their developing story of how they created this game. I mainly want to focus on the third developer diary, talking about the kind of the main creation of it, because there's a certain part there of the diary there that I read that I actually really love, and I wanted to share this with you guys because it actually gets me super excited, because it really does sound like Nintendo, or at least just the Zelda team here, Onuma and all of them, are really understanding kind of the disappointment that Legend of Zelda players had somewhat when it came to the story of Tears of the Kingdom, and this basically is just going to go ahead and just show us that they are listening to the players' feedback. And so that's kind of like the main thing that gets me excited. But let's just go ahead and let's just dive right in. Let's go ahead and read the dev diaries and just analyze the whole thing together. And I think that'll be a lot of fun. So like I mentioned, this is going to be the part 3 version, or the part 3 section that we're going to be going ahead and reading here. And if you guys want to read the other parts yourselves, and even the newer part that just came out today, I'll go ahead and I'll leave a link to all of the developer diaries in the description down below. But for now, let's go ahead and read a little bit here. Go ahead and go through what they talked about here. So, important element of this game is that for the first time in the Legend of Zelda series, Princess Zelda is the protagonist of her own adventure. We were initially thinking that Link would be the protagonist, but when we focused on the gameplay using echoes and had Link copying and pasting things into the game field, the sword and shield got in the way. If you have a sword and shield, you can just fight using those. There's no need to rely on the monster's powers, right? So we thought, what if players could use only echoes at first in order to understand the gameplay? And then as the game progresses, they get the sword and shield. But even then, we thought that once they got the sword and shield, they would stop using echoes. Said, and that's just your typical Legend of Zelda game. What are we going to do? Echoes plus a sword and shield, they just didn't work well together. There is a wide variety of echoes, so to get the most out of the gameplay, we decided to stick with echoes only. And if that's the case, it must be someone who doesn't fight with a sword and shield, right? Who in the series would be a good fit for these powers and bring their insight to them? Well, that would have to be Princess Zelda. Over the years we've been working on the Legend of Zelda series, many people have often asked us, will Princess Zelda ever be the protagonist? And said, I'd like to play as Princess Zelda. When asked this question, I've always thought, of course, as long as it makes sense for the game and does justice to her as a character to be the protagonist, and answered that way. I had been trying in vain to figure out what would really do justice to her, but when I saw the team struggling to identify an ideal protagonist for this game, I thought this is exactly the game for her. I see, so you finally had an opportunity to answer this long debated question. And Onuma states, that being said, we had a lot of trouble deciding on Princess Zelda's outfit, for example. Since she is going on an adventure, we did consider giving her some more typical adventure clothing, yet we wondered if it looked strange to have such an outfit ready, as if it were already known that she'd be leaving from the get-go. We tried looking for a suitable outfit for Princess Zelda from previous games as well, but I couldn't find anything that really clicked. I see you eventually landed on a hood. That's the hood that Link wears at the beginning of the game, and it's there to represent Link, who has become strong after many adventures. So when I was shown Link's new outfit for this title, it occurred to me, Princess Zelda goes on a journey secretly, so wouldn't it make sense if she wears a hood as well? So it's not like you thought of putting hood on Link because Princess Zelda will be wearing one later on, but rather Link was initially designed with the hood. Correct. Also, we thought it'd be touching if Princess Zelda inherited the hood that Link wore. One of the themes for Princess Zelda this time was to find Link, so we thought that her wearing his hood would be a good reminder of her purpose to find him. By the way, I mentioned earlier how the sword and shield got in the way of the Echoes gameplay, but we still wanted to implement gameplay that used sword and shield, so we thought it would make sense if Zelda imitated Link's abilities using echoes, and that's how the sword fighter form came about. And then the interview asks, I see a lot of things have come out of the relationship between Link and Zelda, since it seems like there are a lot of things to consider with Princess Zelda as the main character. What went into the story's development? Well, first it was difficult to find a motive to send Princess Zelda on an adventure. In Link's case, he is destined to be a hero, so if there are monsters, he sets out on a journey to defeat them, and that makes sense. But in the case of Princess Zelda, as she is royalty, we needed to carefully craft the setting of why she really needs to leave her castle where there are people around her who can fight. But the more we thought about it, the harder it was to come up with a convincing enough reason for Princess Zelda to leave for an adventure. Just having monsters roaming around Hyrule wouldn't be enough to motivate Princess Zelda to directly fight them. We tried brainstorming all sorts of ideas for what kind of situation would necessitate that the princess takes matter into her own hands. One staff member, as if Princess Zelda were his own child, said, "We can't send the princess on an adventure yet. I'd go instead under these circumstances." Which, honestly, it makes a lot of sense if you really do think about it. I mean, she is the princess. She has her guards and everyone there that, you know, can definitely go out into this world and just try to basically face whatever evil that is happening. But now that they, I guess, seems like they have settled with the whole still kind of thing corrupting the entire land of Hyrule this time around, you know, that is basically is pushing Zelda more so to go ahead and go out. Which, this is the thing that I wanted to share with you guys that gets me super excited, is that they really do seem to be actually caring and focusing a lot about the story of this game, for more so than just mainly focusing on just the gameplay aspect of it just being fun. They're focusing on both sides of it, where can it be fun, and also where can the story be really good and just continue on this legacy of like the Legend of Zelda and its amazing lore that it has. And then this is the part here that I want to go ahead and skip over here a little bit, where it states that there is certainly a history of Hyrule that ties the entire series together. If you take too many liberties, you have to be careful whether it's still Legend of Zelda like. And Onuma stated that, right, it's very difficult to balance how much to add or change. At first, we were initially leaving any parts that might delve into Hyrule's history vague, but partway through, we just couldn't find a way forward that way. So around last summer, we decided to hold a boot camp and work out the story there. And then Terada said it truly was a boot camp indeed. Even there, Gresso didn't offer any in-depth suggestions about the story at first, so I went back to the hotel, quickly wrote a script that would work, and brought it with me the next day. Then we all contributed various elements that often occur in the Legend of Zelda series to the script. Using this method, we eventually completed the game's story. Over a few sessions, we spent 9 days at the boot camps in total, working from morning until night. These days, even for us, it's not easy to touch on the lore of the Legend of Zelda series. When you address the history of the Legend of Zelda, you naturally have to be conscious of how things have been expressed previously in the series, but when we think about a new game, we need to think about new developments while being mindful of the past games in the series. So the scope of what you can do becomes increasingly narrow if you think in the same way every time. On top of that, because the series has been running for a long time, players are interested in its history and lore. So when we've adopted a game plot that was not in line with the other games in the series because we prioritized the gameplay, we've been told by our fans that it didn't make any sense. We realized that even if the developers didn't intend to make nonsensical changes, players could interpret otherwise. Which I feel like at that point, they really are kind of... He wasn't really stating it, but he was kind of maybe hinting at it, and that was with Tears of the Kingdom. Because again, they said since last summer, and around that same time frame, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom was finally released, and I'm assuming that they heard all of the kind of feedback the fans were giving about the initial story and lore of Tears of the Kingdom, and how some of it might have been a little bit confusing for some people. People just wouldn't get it, or just some things weren't linking, or some things contradicted each other. And so because of that, I'm assuming that's basically the main thing that pushed Onuma and the team to go ahead and set up this boot camp to talk about, okay, let's see what the lore is, and if it makes sense here for this game, what we can do and add for its story, then let's go ahead and do it. Which, in my personal idea, the first time that I heard this, you know, one of the big things that I find kind of cool and crazy for this new game is that they're actually going to have two different Zoras species in this game. You know, there's going to be the river Zoras and then the other Zoras kind of thing. So there's going to be two different types of Zoras. There's going to be the Gorons, Deku, the Deku Scrubs, like just all of those different types of races that I find super interesting that they were able to, I guess, some way find that they can all coexist in this. And that gets me excited as somebody who has been following basically the entire lore of The Legend of Zelda. It gets me very excited to know that they are actually focusing on the story more so, and not just kind of pushing it to the side. And because of it, kind of what this comes up with my last video, how I even titled that video, that every time that I keep hearing more about Echoes of Wisdom and what the developers have gone through to develop this game, it honestly just keeps getting better and better. So it just gets me super excited to know that this game potentially, and even the reviews are now out, some people are saying that it is more so linear in a way, but kind of like classic Zelda as well. And because of that, it has a pretty good structured story, and that gets me super excited as somebody who, again, found it kind of annoying with Tears of the Kingdom a little bit. One example that I'll give to you guys is that if you are, when you're going through the game and you're actually able to go ahead and do the tier section where you're going through around the whole map of Hyrule, and you're able to get these cutscenes, I hate the fact that there's that potential time that you may actually see the final cutscene of like seeing Ganondorf taking over the entire land of Hyrule kind of thing, or attacking Hyrule, and then you go back to another kind of tier kind of cutscene and you see that one, and that one is just basically showing you like the beginning of the whole thing happening, of, you know, Ganondorf finally appearing and just talking to Rauru and all those stuff. And that was just the main kind of thing that I hate, is that if you did not know in which order to go take a look at those tiers, you're just going to be lost and confused, and are gonna be, again, you're just going to be thinking, what the hell happened here? Of course, that's kind of the way they had to do it for it being such a massive big open world game, but I wish they would have found a different kind of way to structure, or just potentially what they should have done is, once you get one tier, another tier kind of, or another symbol appears around the map, and you have to go ahead and find that one, and, you know, it just keeps going in a cycle afterwards. I don't know. It's just something like that I kind of hated about Tears of the Kingdom when it came to its story, Now, again, this gets me excited though that they are focusing on just not only the gameplay, but also the story at the same time. So I see. So the developers need to take those kinds of players' reactions into consideration when creating a story. And Enuma states, even with this title, we had no intention of establishing any new theories in the series lore. Link goes on an adventure every time and experiences many things, but Princess Zelda has always had to take a step back in the Legend of Zelda series, but this time, Princess Zelda is on her own adventure, so the story takes on a different perspective than before. I think that's why we were able to create something new in terms of the story as well. Yeah, guys, like I said, just this big part right here, this whole thing right here is honestly the main thing that got me super excited, and just hearing that Enuma and the team really are taking player feedback and are saying that, yeah, let's just take a step back and let's look at the entire lore, just the story of the series, and see what we need to do to not really make it fit, but just see what they can potentially do to kind of have those hardcore lore people like myself basically be happy. That's basically it. But yeah, guys, I just wanted to share this just because I thought it was so cool to read. And like I mentioned, if you guys want to read all of the other developer diaries, there will be a link in the description down below for you guys. And if you guys have already, or you guys are watching this video, have you guys already gone Echoes of Wisdom? Have you guys played it? Let me know what you guys think of Echoes of Wisdom. I'm super excited to get it. I'm going to be for sure getting my pre-order tomorrow morning once my local GameStop opens. And I might do a potential unboxing video of both the game and the Zelda Switch Lite edition, both potentially, but we'll take a look and we'll see what I can get first. But yeah, with that being said, I hope you guys all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.